What do you think, Chance? Are they ready for a Halloween Horror Nights haunted house lineup?
Oh, you betcha, Mr. Jack. They're
gonna love it. Hey everybody, it is me, Vincent, coming to you from my lovely home office. I'm here because, as you would imagine, it is time to talk about Halloween Horror Nights. They just dropped the bomb. We now know all of the haunted houses and scare zones for the 2022 event, and I am very excited to share them with you guys. I wish I was excited to share them with you earlier. It dropped while I was at work, so the whole day I was just like, but I'm here now. I'm ready to do this video. It is a lovely, beautiful day outside. It's not very spooky in here, and also this place is a little busier than usual. My girlfriend Ellison moved in with me very recently, so yay, that's really exciting. But Halloween Horror Nights is exciting, and that's what you guys are here for. So we're gonna go ahead and add a scary filter to this video right about now. We are going to go down all of the haunted houses for Halloween Horror Nights 2022, and I'm also gonna share with you guys my most anticipated haunted houses for this year. So let's go ahead and knock out the easy ones. Let's talk about the haunted houses that we already know. The first one that was announced is Universal Monsters Legends Collide. Dracula versus Wolfman versus the Mummy in an all-out brawl. The second is that the Horrors of Blumhouse is returning again this year. This time it is featuring the movies Freaky and The Black Phone. We are also getting the return of Halloween. This haunted house will be based off the 1978 film, and The Weeknd, After Hours Nightmare, where you will be going into The Weeknd's mind and exploring his twisted, blinding lights or whatever. These are the 4 IP intellectual property haunted houses this year. Now, intellectual property, for those who don't know, are things based off of movies and TV shows and other things. You know, like in previous years, they've had Stranger Things, Ghostbusters, The Shining. Now, this year, it is Halloween, The Weeknd, the Universal Monsters, and Blumhouse. Now, this year is already pretty interesting for a lot of Halloween Horror Nights fans because there are actually more original haunted houses this year versus IP haunted houses. There are 6 original haunted houses created for the event this year, and those were the ones that were revealed to us today. So I'm just gonna go through all of the haunted houses that were revealed to us today, and I'll talk more about them when I come up with my anticipated list. The first one is Spirits of the Coven. A coven of beautiful flapper witches will lure you into their 1920s speakeasy, reveal their haggish true form, and turn your scream squad into a witch's brew. They'll be cackling, you'll be screaming. They do a really fun job with writing these little taglines. The second is Bugs, Eaten Alive. While touring a 1950s home of the future, you'll be surrounded by the slime of bugs everywhere as hordes of many-legged terrors descend upon you and your scream squad. You'll be dropping like flies. Third is Fiesta de Chupacabras. Visit a Latin American village where the legend of the creature Chupacabras is celebrated with a colorful fiesta, and the streets are lined with crimson blood of tourists like you and your amigos? Okay, all right, whoever wrote this, sure, do your thing. Hell Block Horror. Enter a prison whose savage inmates are monstrous creatures. If they break free from their cells, it's a death sentence for everyone. Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. In a New England fishing village, undead fishermen emerge from the waves to seek their revenge. You and your scream squad may have escaped their hooks in the scare zone. Now they'll reel you in and drag you under. I should have been reading these like that the whole time. Drag you under. And last but not least is the Descendants of Destruction. Careful not to leave any of your scream squad behind as you descend the subway tunnels of a deserted New York. Lurking in the dark are hungry mutants looking to feast on the last remnants of humanity. Now that you guys are up to date on all of the offerings for this year's Halloween Horror Nights, what I want to do is actually talk about the haunted houses. More specifically, my most anticipated haunted houses for this year. Now, I should say I'm excited for all of these. I'm sure they're all going to be great, and I am so willing to be proven wrong. Like, that's the beauty of Halloween Horror Nights. You don't really get much meat in these explanations that they have on their website, but when you go to the haunted house, it could be the coolest thing ever. So please don't take my rankings personally. They can change. The event hasn't even started yet. Let's go ahead and start with number 10 on my anticipation list. I think Descendants of Destruction is gonna be my number 10. right now. I feel like we've seen the apocalypse thing a lot. I feel like I like it more as a scare zone. There was a scare zone a couple years back in the New York area. That was a really, really great post-apocalyptic environment. Though I will give them points, it seems like they're doing something a little bit different with this. According to more information that's been put out about the haunted houses, we are actually gonna be traveling underground, and we'll be seeing cannibals on the top levels of the world, but as we go deeper underground, we'll see more like bioluminescent mushroom creatures, so that could be pretty interesting. But right now, as it stands, I'm not super excited for this one, and because of that, it ends up as my number 10. My number 9 is Hellblock Horror. This haunted house seems like the best part of the Cabin in the Woods movie, when all of the monsters get released in the prison and they're all going all over the place. That is what I'm expecting. But I don't know, I just think like out of all of the other haunted houses that we have right now, this is kind of like, doesn't sound the most out there. It's gonna be like a prison with a bunch of monsters, and you know, it could be cool. It could be cool, but I think just what I have right now, it's not really grabbing me. Number 8 to me is Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. This seems like it's gonna be a really pretty haunted house. I love the idea of a fisherman's village. I also do like that it's gonna be characters from Horror Nights history. You may or may not know, Dead Man's Wharf was a scare zone in the San Francisco area of the park. Now they have gotten that and they have turned it into a full-on haunted house like they've done with other things before. I did like the scare zone, but I wasn't like the biggest fan of it, so I like that it's getting a full house. It's just the idea itself is not really grabbing me right now. Number 7 is an IP that I actually really enjoy, but I also feel like we've seen it so many times at Universal already that I don't know what to expect for this haunted house, and that is Halloween. Now, the good thing is, it is based off of the first film, which is, in my opinion, the best one. And they did a haunted house based off the first movie a couple years back, and it was so good. Even if they just copy pasted the old haunted house and brought it back, like a part of me wouldn't mind. But this is also gonna be like the 4th time in a small handful of years that we have gotten Michael Myers at the event. We had the Halloween house, we had the Halloween 2, we had Halloween 4, and now we have this one. It's a lot, and they're all very recent. So because of that, I'm a little like, oh, okay, Michael Myers again. But also Michael Myers is such an iconic Halloween character. Like, he's gonna be a people pleaser, that's for sure. And also the newer series ends this year with Halloween Ends, so like it makes sense. Though I do wish they would have maybe tied it to the newer movies just to get that synergy going. You know, let's get that corporate synergy in here. And speaking of corporate synergy, my number 6 is going to be The Horrors of Blumhouse. Now, this is also one of the many times Horrors of Blumhouse has showed up at the event, but what Blumhouse has going for it is that it always features different movies. So they have had ones where it's based off The Purge, and Insidious, and The Happy Death Day, and things like that. This year, it's based off of 2 movies, Freaky and The Black Phone. And while I have not seen Freaky yet, I did recently watch The Black Phone, and I really enjoyed it. But I know that it's gonna be kind of a weird haunted house to pull off, or at least like a weird half of a haunted house. The Black Phone takes place in the majority of one place the entire movie, so I'm very curious to see how they pull that off in a haunted house. They have done it before with things like The Exorcist, and it's done really, really well. But I'm curious to see how they do this for The Black Phone, because it's not much going on in the movie. It's definitely more like psychological. Number 5 is Spirits of the Coven. This is a really, really cool idea, and like, I don't think we've really seen this before. It's witches. Speakeasy witches, 1920s. Did you know it's called Spirits of the Coven because it's a speakeasy and they're making witches brew? So it's like, you know, like Spirits of the Coven, right? Huh? That's pretty cool, huh? I'm excited for this. I think this will be a really interesting concept. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about really out there original ideas for haunted houses. Speakeasy witches. So this is gonna sit there at number 5. I'm excited to see this one in person. Number 4 is Universal Monsters Legends Collide. Dracula versus Wolfman versus the Mummy. I have loved all of the Universal Monster houses that we have gotten at Halloween Horror Nights, and if this is anything like any of the others, more specifically the one from 2019, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was so great to see the classic monsters done in this brand new scary way. If it's anything like that haunted house, we are gonna have a really solid winner. I wouldn't be surprised if this shoots up on my list of my favorite houses for this year, but I want to keep my expectations a little low. I don't want to get too excited about it, but I mean, Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, they're all fighting. It's gonna be great. This is gonna be a really, really cool haunted house, a very solid haunted house, that's for sure. My number 3 is going to be Fiesta de Chupacabras. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. This is also a setting that I don't think we've really seen before in a Horror Nights haunted house as well. A Latin American village where you are being stalked by the chupacabra. And I'm expecting this to be like a scary chupacabra. I always have this idea of this like little tiny monster. They're gonna make this like a big scary monster, and I'm pretty excited for this haunted house because the big monsters scare me, the big puppets and things like that. There was a Yeti house a couple years back that was just giant Yeti beasts, and if the Chupacabra house is anything like that, that'll be pretty scary. And then my number 2 is actually The Weekend After Hours, which is crazy because I never really thought that they would be that high up on my list, but I took the time to watch the After Hours music videos. There's a really great compilation on YouTube, and you can watch them all in chronological order to kind of try to get a feel of what to expect for this haunted house, and it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be really unique. Now, I don't know how scary it's gonna be. I do think that Horror Nights over the past couple years have been introducing not as scary haunted houses mixed in with the already scary stuff to bring in new people, and I think The Weekend, just like Stranger Things in years before, is going to be a big draw for a lot of people who maybe wouldn't consider going to Halloween Horror Nights normally. And my number 1, which I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be on a lot of people's most unanticipated haunted house, it is Bugs Eaten Alive. I mean, pardon my language, but it's bugs. Like, people hate bugs. I'm okay with bugs. I think I'm okay with bugs, but I know this haunted house is gonna be so scary for a lot of people. Like how a couple of years back, people were afraid of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space haunted house because it had clowns in it. People are gonna nope on this one so hard because it is bugs. And like, come on. Obviously, every single wall in this haunted house is going to be filled with bugs, right? I'm loving the 1950s theme of it, but I'm just more excited to see this place wall to wall filled with bugs, people losing their minds, people not wanting to go inside the haunted house. Like, I don't know, little feelers and things like that. We don't know how hands-on Halloween Horror Nights is gonna be this year, if we're gonna get things hanging in our face and people coming up to us. It's still gonna be pretty freaking scary. And because I expect the Bugs house to be the scariest haunted house for a lot of people, this is easily my most anticipated haunted house. That is all I've got. I just wanted to get that off my chest while the iron is still hot. Halloween Horror Nights is coming soon. It's very close. It's like what? Like 2 weeks from now? That is so crazy. I am so excited for the event. I hope you guys are excited for the event as well. And I'm curious to know, based off of all the information that we have now, what is the haunted house that you are the most anticipated for? What are you looking forward to the most? Let me know in the comments. Let me know how you feel about my list as well. It could be pretty controversial, and based off the limited information that we have right now, this is how I feel. So I will see you guys in the fog when the time comes. So until then, thank you guys for watching another Vincent Vision, and bye-bye. Bye-bye. Jack the Clown. Bye-bye.